Austin Hill is set to miss the Iowa Xfinity race following an Indianapolis penalty. The driver of the number 21 has been suspended one race after an incident with Aric Almirola on lap 91.
Oh, as you see the 19. Oh, what a save! Oh, no!
What a hard hit for the 19.
Wow.
Caution out, 10 to go.
Hill also was parked for 5 laps at Indy for reckless driving. For more information, go to NASCAR.com.
Austin Hill went from title favorite to championship underdog in the span of one catastrophic decision at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What happened at Indy wasn't just a typical racing incident, this was retaliation, pure and simple, and NASCAR decided to make an example out of Hill using their most powerful penalty weapon for the first time in series history. Yeah, it was lap 91 of 100 at the Pennzoil 250 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. With everything on the line, Austin Hill's number 21 Chevrolet and Aric Almirola's number 19 Toyota. Both top 5 contenders were battling for track position as the laps dwindled. Almirola made his move. He nudged Hill's rear bumper in turn 3, sending the Richard Childress racing driver sliding up the track. Standard racing contact? Absolutely. The kind of bump and run we see every weekend? You bet. But Hill wasn't having it. After correcting his car and seemingly saving it from spinning, Hill made a choice. He turned his wheel left and deliberately slammed into Almirola's right rear quarter panel. The impact sent Almirola's Toyota spinning sharply into the turn 4 retaining wall with devastating force. "I got him loose and he just turned left and hooked me in the right rear," Almirola explained during the CW broadcast post-race interview. The veteran driver didn't mince words about Hill's intentions. Definitely intentional. The crash was brutal. Almirola described it as one of the hardest hits I've taken in my NASCAR career. For a driver who broke his back in a 2017 Kansas crash, that statement carries serious weight. This wasn't just hard racing gone wrong, this was dangerous. Race officials didn't wait around. They immediately held Hill for 5 laps on pit road for rough driving. But that was just the beginning. The real punishment was coming. Amanda Ellis, NASCAR's Senior Director of Racing Communications, explained the reasoning behind the initial penalty. Amanda said, "We have done that in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series a couple of times in recent years, and those drivers were held for 2 laps. When you move up a series and you're in the Xfinity Series, you will often see that penalty be escalated." The escalation was intentional. NASCAR wanted to send a message immediately. "We felt like it needed to be escalated in this incident to show that NASCAR was not okay with what happened," Ellis said. Hill finished 34th, 5 laps down. Almirola finished 35th. Both drivers' days were ruined, but only one of them was about to have his entire season destroyed. Tuesday brought the real devastation. NASCAR suspended Hill for one Xfinity Series race. But that wasn't the killer blow. The killer blow was what came with it. Under a new rule implemented before the 2025 season, Hill lost every single playoff point he had earned. All 21 of them. Gone. Erased. And he can't earn any more playoff points for the remainder of the regular season. This was the first time NASCAR had ever stripped playoff points from a driver for a suspension based on on-track actions. Hill became the guinea pig for NASCAR's nuclear option. "We had multiple camera views to determine very confidently this was an intentional spin," Ellis said. "Based on the camera views, we were very confident. Very quickly, that was something he did." The evidence was overwhelming. Onboard telemetry, multiple camera angles, video evidence. NASCAR reviewed it all and reached a straightforward conclusion. Hill deliberately wrecked Almirola. Before his moment of madness at Indianapolis, Hill was sitting pretty in the playoff picture. He had 21 playoff points, trailing only Connor Zilisch with 29 and Justin Allgaier with 22. Hill was third in playoff standings, with 3 race wins tying him for second most victories in the series. Now, he'll start the playoffs dead last among the 12 drivers, 0 playoff points, no buffer, no margin for error. Mike Ford, NASCAR's Managing Director of Racing Communications, detailed the brutal reality on the officially sanctioned Hauler Talk podcast. The new waiver policy means drivers who miss races for unexcused reasons forfeit all existing playoff points and cannot earn more through the rest of the regular season. Hill was ranked 7th in the Xfinity Series standings with his 3 victories. The the suspension will likely drop him further in the standings, and only drivers ranked in the top 12 make the playoffs. Hill will need to apply for a waiver to retain his playoff eligibility. If he gets that waiver, he'll start the postseason as the lowest seed in the 12-driver field. His path to the championship just became exponentially harder. NASCAR's decision wasn't arbitrary. The sanctioning body has different standards for different types of tracks, and Indianapolis falls into the most serious category. Ford explained the distinction on his podcast. Largely, it had to do with the track type. Little slower speeds, tighter confines. That's why we landed on 50 points and a $50,000 fine. He was referring to Austin Cindric's penalty earlier this season for a similar incident at Circuit of the Americas. But Indianapolis is different. This one we viewed the same way we viewed Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson at Vegas a couple years ago, Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin at Charlotte last year or the year before. High speeds, right rear hooking, into the wall, very dangerous situation. The key factors: high speeds, right rear hooking, impact with the wall. All three elements create a dangerous situation that NASCAR treats with maximum severity. So we view that more at the level of a high-speed oval and how we've handled that in the past at those types of racetracks. Both of those also resulted in one-race suspensions. Richard Childress wasn't buying NASCAR's explanation. The team owner vehemently defended his driver and pointed to what he saw as inconsistent enforcement. Hell no! They didn't do a damn thing to Cindric when he wrecked Ty Dillon and admitted to it, drove him in the right rear, and wrecked him at COTA. Childress said, "It's who you are. We're a blue-collar team. NASCAR gives us trouble all the time." Ty Dillon is Childress's grandson, making the comparison personal for the team owner. But NASCAR maintained that the Cindric incident at Circuit of the Americas was fundamentally different due to the track type and speeds involved. The series previously opted not to suspend Cup Series driver Austin Cindric and Xfinity Series driver Sammy Smith, both of whom were docked 50 regular season points instead. Hill's suspension suggests NASCAR viewed his hit as more egregious, more dangerous, or both. Hill maintained his innocence after the race, arguing the contact wasn't intentional. He declined to comment to media, but told his team over the radio that Almirola's initial bump left him struggling to regain control before the wreck. The video evidence told a different story. You could see Hill turn his car left into Almirola's right rear after he had already corrected his vehicle and saved it from spinning. His actions were deliberate and calculated. When NASCAR handed down the 5-lap penalty during the race, Hill went into what was described as an expletive-filled tirade over the radio. His reaction suggested he knew exactly what he had done. Almirola wasn't buying Hill's story either. "I didn't feel what he did was necessary. I felt like he could have easily fell back in line. He was damaged anyway. We were losing time to the leaders. It wasn't like we were on pace with them. He was holding me up clearly." The veteran driver's assessment was brutal but accurate. "It's just unfortunate. He obviously lost his mind right there. That was really bad judgment in my opinion." Richard Childress Racing announced they would not appeal NASCAR's decision. The team issued a corporate statement that read like damage control. "We remain focused on winning a championship with Austin Hill in 2025. Hill's suspension is part of a years-long push by NASCAR to clean up intentional wrecks, which have become a major problem in modern stock car racing. The series has handed out several high-profile suspensions in recent years. Bubba Wallace received a suspension in 2022 for an intentional wreck. Chase Elliott was suspended in 2023 for right-hooking Denny Hamlin. Kyle Larson has also faced suspension for similar actions. Austin Dillon wasn't suspended for two different, seemingly intentional wrecks on the last lap of the regular season finale at Richmond last year, but he was effectively knocked out of the playoffs when NASCAR ruled his win didn't count for postseason eligibility. The most recent suspension before Hill came in October 2024 when Truck Series driver Connor Jones received a one-race ban for his actions at Homestead.